Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're tackling, well, probably one of the smallest, but definitely most powerful words.
And maybe the hardest.
And yeah, universally the hardest word, it seems. No.
It's just two letters, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But that refusal, or maybe the inability to refuse to decline something,
Mm-hmm.
that's the number one recipe, I think, for being just perpetually overcommitted.
Overworked, overwhelmed, all of it.
Yeah, we just seem wired to say yes.
And that wiring is exactly what we're digging into today. We've looked at quite a bit of research here covering, everything from how really successful leaders operate their productivity blueprints,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to these really deep-seated psychological patterns, all trying to figure out why saying no feels so wrong sometimes, like a moral failure almost.
Right. And how to master what one source actually calls giving good no.
Giving good no. I like that.
Yeah, our mission really is to give you the tools, the actual practical tools, to completely reclaim your most valuable resources. We're
Mhm.
talking time and energy.
We want to help you turn that moment, the one, that stomach-churning guilt,
Well, yeah.
into something powerful, something intentional,
Mhm.
an act of self-respect, maybe.
That's a great way to put it, self-respect. And, before we jump into the why,
Mm.
we have to acknowledge this core truth. It's kind of a paradox, really.
What's up?
Every single time you say yes to something new, could be a meeting, a favor for a friend, joining another committee,
Anything.
anything, you are automatically, without even thinking about it, saying no to basically every other way you could spend that time and energy.
Including saying no to your own stuff, your own priorities, your mental health, even just basic rest.
Exactly. And that is what we're calling the polite mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It feels polite in the moment, but it costs you.
Okay, the polite mistake. So where does that start? Because it feels like it's not just a modern problem, right? This goes way back.
Oh, absolutely. It's rooted deep in our societal conditioning. It starts really early.
So let's unpack that social side first. Why do we default to yes so often?
Well, we're raised, I think, in environments, and this is particularly true in some cultures, the sources note where there's this heavy unspoken message
Mm-hmm.
that being a good person, or maybe just an agreeable person, means you accommodate everyone. You say yes.
So being a good daughter, a supportive friend, a dedicated employee.
Right. All those roles. The expectation, often implicit, is that you don't cause friction.
Right.
You don't rock the boat by declining.
So we end up confusing being a good person with being, well, a person without any boundaries at all.
Precisely. And then psychologically, that internal conflict gets really intense.
Well,
When we find it hard to say no, it often comes directly from these really core fears.
like what?
Fear of rejection, obviously.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Or the anxiety about disappointing someone, especially someone you respect or look up to.
Or just worrying that setting that boundary, saying no, will somehow damage the relationship, put a strain on it.
Exactly. Cause friction or, even break it. And there's another layer here the sources touch on, which I think is really important, relating to self-worth or lack thereof.
Ah, okay. How does that play in?
Well, think about it. If someone operates from a place of, let's say, deep-seated insecurity, that constant yes can almost become like a transaction.
Transaction. What do you mean?
You're essentially trying to buy approval. Maybe it's not even conscious. But you believe that if you're helpful enough, if you're indispensable,
Then maybe you're not that flawed person you secretly worry you are.
exactly that.
Yeah.
You're trying to prove your value externally because you doubt it internally.
So you end up prioritizing their perceived needs way above your own, which just throws you straight into that guilt cycle we talked about.
Right. You keep saying yes, even when everything inside you is screaming no.
Yeah.
And every single time you do that, you're basically reinforcing this belief.
Yeah.
Their needs matter more, fundamentally more than yours do.
And that sounds like the fast track to burnout.
It's practically the definition of it. That chronic confirmation that leads straight to resentment, feeling totally emotionally exhausted, and sometimes, a genuine personal crisis.
What?
And the sources are quite clear on this. If you find yourself constantly driven by this, this deep need for external approval, figuring out the root cause might take some deeper work, maybe even professional support sometimes, to really tackle that core fear of rejection or need for validation.
That makes a lot of sense. It's tough to be assertive if your whole sense of self feels shaky. Okay, so we see the emotional cost, the burnout, the resentment. What about the flip side? What's the actual measurable payoff for getting good at saying no? Is it really a productivity hack?
Oh, it's the ultimate productivity hack. And the reason is just dead simple, really.
Which is,
Not doing something is always faster than doing it.
Always.
Uh-huh. Can't argue with that logic.
Right. If you just eliminate the task, the distraction entirely, you free up not just the actual clock time, but also that crucial mental space, that cognitive load.
You stop paying the mental tax on that thing, even if it seems small.
Exactly. And look, this isn't just some nice theory for, everyday folks trying to manage their inbox. This is how the world's most successful people operate. You mean like that Warren Buffett quote?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Buffett famously said something like, the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything.
Almost everything. That sounds pretty extreme.
It does, but the logic holds right. Real focus demands elimination. You have to cut out the noise.
The less you take on, the more you can actually concentrate on what truly matters. Your most important thing, your MIT.
Precisely. And here's the part that sounds backward, but is absolutely true. Saying no strategically actually builds trust. Immense trust.
So,
Because when you do commit, when you finally say yes, people know you actually have the bandwidth. They know you're not stretched thin, and you'll deliver quality work because you chose carefully. Your yes actually means something significant.
that's a powerful reframing. Your yes has more value if your no is well used. But okay, strategy. This can't be a one-size-fits-all approach, surely. Saying no to everything. The sources suggest this evolves, right? Depending on where you are in your career or life.
Oh, absolute crucial point.
Yeah.
Think about when you're in the early stages. Maybe you're new to a field, just out of school, starting a new venture.
Exploration phase.
Exactly. Exploration. You need
Yeah.
data points. You need experiences. In that phase, you probably should say yes to almost everything, just to figure things out. See what clicks, what you enjoy, what you definitely hate.
Find the opportunities.
Yes, find where the real opportunities are hiding. But then, once you start getting some traction, once you have more clarity, maybe achieve some success,
Maybe game changes.
the game changes completely. That's when you absolutely must learn to, as one source puts it, upgrade your no.
Upgrade your no, meaning
Meaning you move beyond just rejecting the obviously bad ideas, the clear time wasters, and you start rejecting even the good opportunities.
ooh, okay. That's harder.
Much harder.
Yeah.
You start guarding your time, your most precious asset, much more fiercely. You only make space for the truly great opportunities, the ones that align perfectly with your highest goals and values.
So you're constantly raising the bar for what gets your yes. Okay, so if we commit to that, if we decide we need to say no more often and more strategically, how do we actually do it? Let's get practical. How do you deliver the no without crumbling into a pile of apologies?
Right, moving from philosophy to practice. And step one actually happens before the request even lands. It's all about preparation.
Preparation, like anticipating requests.
Sort of, more like establishing your rules of engagement ahead of time, creating your own personal policies.
Okay, explain that.
You set up concrete, predefined rules that guide your decisions. This takes the emotional guesswork out of it when the request actually arrives. For instance, a rule might be, I only attend networking events twice a month. Or, I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. because that's my deep work time.
So you block that time on your calendar, maybe for focus work or even self-care, like going for a hike or reading.
Exactly. And you treat that block time as sacred. It's non-negotiable. Like a meeting with your most important client, which in this case is you and your priorities.
You define your boundaries, physical, mental, time boundaries, before someone tries to cross them.
Yes. Once you have those rules, those boundaries, then step two is the delivery, choosing the right words. And this is where some fascinating communication research comes in handy.
I remember reading about this. There was a study involving willpower and ice cream, wasn't it? What was the key finding there?
Yes, that's the one. They found that when people were faced with temptation, or you could apply this to a request saying, I don't eat ice cream or I don't check email after 6 p.m., was significantly more effective.
How much more?
Like 60% more effective, according to the study, at helping people stick to their intentions compared to saying, I can't.
60%. Wow. Why such a big difference just from changing one word?
It seems to be about agency. I can't. Feels like an external restriction is being placed on you. It makes you feel, well, restricted, powerless almost.
Like someone else is making the rule for you.
Exactly. Whereas I don't. That feels like a choice you're making. It reinforces your own personal agency, your willpower. You're stating a personal policy, part of your identity, really. It turns the refusal into an affirmation of who you are and what you stand for.
Okay, so I don't is powerful. What other communication tactics work well?
Keep it brief. This is crucial. Your boundaries are not up for debate.
Mm.
The second you start giving a long, rambling explanation,
You give them an opening, right, to argue
right,
or solve your problem for you.
precisely, they'll try to dismantle your excuse. So use short, clear phrases and then stop talking. Resist the urge to over-explain.
Okay, brief and clear. But sometimes that can feel a bit abrupt, maybe even rude. How do you soften it without weakening the no?
Yeah, that's a fair point. And that's where the classic compliment sandwich can be useful.
Ah, yes, the sandwich technique.
You start with genuine gratitude the first slice of bread. Thank you so much for thinking of me for this. Then you deliver the clear, concise, no, the filling. But unfortunately, I won't be able to participate. Or that isn't going to work out for me. Then you end with another positive, respectful note, the top slice. I really appreciate you asking, or I hope it goes really well.
So it's firm, but still appreciative and polite.
Exactly. Gratitude, no, gratitude.
Got it. What about tricky situations, like at work? Saying a flat no to your boss feels risky.
Definitely risky. That calls for a different tactic, what we can call the professional pivot. This is really smart.
Okay, how does the pivot work?
Instead of a hard no, you frame it as a prioritization request back to your manager. You might say something like, okay, yes, I understand this new task is important. I'm happy to make it the priority. To make sure I have the bandwidth to do a great job on it, could you help me decide which of my current projects, A, D, or C, should be put on the back burner for now?
Ah, that's brilliant. It makes the trade-off explicit.
Exactly. It puts the responsibility for understanding the opportunity cost back onto the person making the request. It forces them to acknowledge that your time and resources are finite.
And it shows you're willing, but need help juggling. Okay, super useful. So we've prepared, we've delivered the no, using the right words. What's step 3? The aftermath.
Yes. Step 3 is all about the post-no phase. And self-compassion is key here. First rule, don't look back.
Meaning?
Be confident in your decision. Stop second-guessing yourself. Stop apologizing over and over again or feeling the need to keep making excuses after the fact.
You don't actually need an elaborate excuse, do you?
Not at all. As one source put it, the truth often is just that I'm tired, or I would rather not. And that's perfectly sufficient. Your reasons are your own.
But what if they don't accept it? What if they push back? Someone who just won't take no for an answer, or maybe they try to guilt trip you. Oh, but you always help out, or I guess I'll just have to manage somehow.
Yeah, that happens. Assertiveness sometimes requires persistence.
Hmm.
You might have to calmly repeat your boundary, maybe using slightly different words each time, like a broken record, but polite.
Okay.
And crucially, if they react negatively with anger, guilt tripping, accusations, you have to remember, their emotional reaction is their responsibility. It's not yours to manage or fix.
Oof. That's hard to internalize sometimes.
It really is. But you stay firm on your boundary. Now,
Yeah.
if the situation is genuinely toxic or manipulative, if someone constantly disrespects your no, the sources are pretty clear.
What do they say?
Sometimes the only healthy boundary left is to create distance or even remove yourself from that relationship or situation entirely.
Wow. Okay. That's a serious step, but sometimes necessary, I guess. Now we have to talk about the big one. The feeling that saying no is just selfish. That word carries so much weight.
It really does.
Yeah.
And we absolutely have to reframe selfishness here. We're conditioned to see it as inherently bad, maybe even cruel.
Right. Like you're only thinking about yourself.
But think about it differently. A certain degree of prioritizing your own needs, your desires, your well-being over the constant expectations of others. That's not cruel. It's actually fundamental to living the life you want to live, not the life someone else dictates for you.
If you don't define your priorities, someone else will happily fill your schedule for you.
Exactly. It's not about being unkind. It's about necessary self-determination.
Yeah.
Owning your life.
Okay, necessary self-determination. I like that. And you mentioned we can use tools like tech to help enforce this.
Yes. Technology can actually be a great ally in automating some of this refusal process,
Yeah.
taking some of the immediate emotional labor out of it.
So beyond just blocking time in our calendars, which we talked about, or using do not disturb modes, what else?
One really clever suggestion was using text expander apps or snippets.
How do those work in this context?
You create shortcuts.
Yeah.
Let's say you type no invite or no meeting. The app automatically replaces that shortcut with a pre-written, polite, professional refusal message that you've crafted beforehand.
Ah, so you don't even have to type out the potentially awkward message in the moment.
Exactly. It removes that hesitation point, that moment where you might waffle or start writing a weak excuse. It makes sending the no a quick, almost logistical action, rather than a drawn-out emotional negotiation.
That's really practical. Okay, one last thread I want to pull on. You mentioned earlier the link between saying no and humility. That seems counterintuitive. How does saying no relate to humility?
It connects back to saying no, not just to others, but also to ourselves, saying no to our own internal temptations.
Like saying no to constant distractions, endless scrolling, procrastination, that kind of thing.
Yes, learning to resist those internal urges, those easy dopamine hits, builds self-discipline. And that discipline, interestingly, seems to foster humility.
How so?
Well, one source suggested that a lot of self-loathing or self-hatred actually stems from an outsized sense of importance.
Meaning we think we have to do everything, be indispensable.
Kind of. If you constantly feel like you must be involved in everything, that every project hinges on you, that every output has to be world-changing, you set yourself up for inevitable failure and disappointment, which breeds self-criticism.
So humility in this sense is about recognizing your limits, that you're not essential to every single thing.
Exactly. The company probably won't collapse if you miss that optional meeting. The world will keep spinning if you take a real vacation. Humility is recognizing your genuine limitations, time, energy, capacity, and respecting them enough to say no.
So the no becomes an honest reflection of reality rather than an attempt to be superhuman.
Beautifully put. It's an honest assessment of what you can realistically, sustainably, and effectively contribute.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. It really boils down to this, doesn't it? Saying no isn't fundamentally about rejecting other people or trying to burn bridges.
Not at all.
It's about making conscious choices. It's about protecting your focus, your energy, so you can actually show up fully for the things you do say yes to.
It's the ultimate tool for autonomy, really. And paradoxically, it can lead to stronger, healthier relationships built on mutual respect for boundaries, not on resentment.
Right. So as everyone listening heads back into their week, facing those inevitable requests, what's a final thought we can leave them with?
Maybe think about this reframe. When you say no thoughtfully, especially to something you know you can't give your best to, you're not just protecting yourself.
Okay.
Consider that your no might actually be creating an opportunity for someone else. When you step back, you create space. Space for someone who might have the genuine passion, the right skills, the actual capacity to step in and really shine.
Ah, so your no allows someone else to find their perfect yes.
Potentially, yes. In that sense, viewed generously, your thoughtful refusal isn't just self-care. It can actually be a mature, even generous act for the wider community or team. It's about letting the right things happen, even if you're not the one doing them.